Irashaimase, I'm Joe, here with me is my co-host Dan.
Hello and greetings.
And we have to basically peeve off a lot of people. So, normally we'd want to build up, do a lot of videos to just do the setup. You know, start with Goku, start with the early... and an analysis probably of the early first arc of Dragon Ball. Because, you know, why not? But the thing is... because we were planning to do an analysis of every storyline of Dragon Ball. Not do an episode-by-episode review, because that'll take too long, but a story arc analysis. Because really, the trouble with Dragon Ball is that it works more in storylines and whatnot than it does in episode-by-episode. Each episode is just a continuation of the previous one. Because you have got that early Emperor Pilaf arc, then you have the Red Ribbon arc, then you've got the Tien Shin Han arc, then you have the King Piccolo arc, then Piccolo, then you get the Saiyan arc. Then you get, of course, Frieza / Namek. Then you have Android, then Cell Games. Now, the trouble with doing it this way is that it would take a while. But instead, let's just skip straight to the juicy part because, let's be honest, there's a certain contingent of Dragon Ball fans who aren't fans of Dragon Ball. They're not fans of Dragon Ball Z. They're just Vegeta fanboys. You know, they're losers. And they don't appreciate the art and the beauty of the world that Toriyama wove together. Nor are they fans of really the characters he built. They only like one character and they don't really care about the rest. Because they don't understand what he was doing. And I know people are going to say you're getting snobby with them. Yes, I am. Because why not? The thing is, the smartest character in the series is probably Goku. He is not stupid. He's actually smart.
There are several points where he essentially does break the Joe character, particularly with Bulma, pretty much tells her, don't patronize me, you know it's an act.
Yeah, he does say that. During the episode where Trunks arrives in the past and Goku first gets back, and where he ends up discussing what Trunks told him, there he tells Bulma, it's just an act. And on top of that, he can tell the speed of light down to the last decimal point. Sorry for the stutter there. So he knows the speed of light down to the last decimal point. He knows how Einstein's theories. He knows Newton's theories. He knows all these scientific theories down to their last decimal point, as I keep stressing. This man obviously has a PhD in science, probably physics. And the thing is, you're going to tell me he's really stupid. Now, bear in mind that he is 16 at the end of the first, quote-unquote, Dragon Ball series. While in Dragon Ball Z, it's 5 years later, so he's 21. So by 21, he has a PhD. That's not an easy accomplishment to pull off. Now, we know he got his GED over the course of 2 years with Kami. And... no, wait, it would have been 3 years. And from there, he went on to get a bachelor's, a master's, and a PhD probably over the course of 5 years. That's pretty impressive. And if you say, don't make that assumption, I disagree because Goku's far too educated not to have some sort of degree. And yes, I know academics can be pretty stupid at times, but Goku's not one of the stupid sort. And he is someone who balances high IQ with extremely impressive combat capabilities. Vegeta throughout the series doesn't really win any fights. All major fights, he tends to lose. Now, we're going to be analyzing every fight he goes into, and we're going to basically be deconstructing him and showing him for the schmuck and loser he is. Why are we going to do this? Why not? It's good for the hits and the clicks. So you can consider this probably a new playlist where it's Vegeta's greatest hits.
To the face.
So, let's start. Mistake number 1 in the Saiyan arc is, for the most part, just waiting for Goku. He wants to punish Kakarot, as he calls him, and yet he makes mistake after mistake with regards to the Cybermen. He keeps wasting time, and he's so sloppy that, you know, Nappa's basically a little alarmed. And the thing is, between these two, Nappa's really the strategist. How do I know this? Well, Vegeta waits those 3 hours when they could have easily slaughtered the entire Z Senshi and already been on their way. Vegeta is repeatedly told that you don't need a Namekian to summon the Dragon Balls. And all the human characters seem to know the Dragon Balls better than Piccolo. But he's somehow convinced that you need Piccolo to summon the dragon. Even though they're yelling, "It seems that he thinks that you're necessary for summoning the dragon with the Dragon Balls, Piccolo." Krillin yells this out like 5-6 times. Gohan yells it out a few times. Tien comments on it. And Vegeta remains fixated on Piccolo. And this is where you just kind of go, are you deaf or just obstinate? But the truth is Vegeta's obtuse, and we also have to bear in mind he is genuinely inbred. It is stated that only the best-looking Saiyans are allowed to marry into the royal family. But it's highly implied, especially given that Habsburgian jawline, well, let's just say Mummy and Daddy weren't all that far apart in terms of genetics.
We're talking about royals.
Yeah, so the trouble is, given the stupidity of Saiyans, Goku notwithstanding, he's really smart, as well as Bardock, we can assume that the royal family are probably inbred, while the lower classes are probably less inbred. And the thing with Vegeta is, strategically, he makes mistake after mistake, and we also have to compare his success ratio in the battle with Goku. Now let's see. First off, let's cap off what Nappa was able to accomplish. Nappa ended up in a fight with a multitude of very talented fighters. And before anyone starts saying, yeah, and then there was Yamcha who died before that. Yeah, Yamcha's actually a talented fighter, and a brilliant one. He's not like Vegeta. The thing is, Yamcha, at least in Dragon Ball, was a very successful fighter. And his Wolf School, I would argue, is the second best of the entire series, second only to the Kami/Demon School. And we are going to do an analysis of the different schools of martial arts at a later date. But for now, just know the Wolf School is probably the second best. It's the only one that can really, in my opinion, fully compete with the Demon School. And before anyone even questions, Yamcha versus Vegeta at this point in the series, Yamcha would tank Vegeta easily. And it has to do with the nature of the Wolf School, as well as the fact that Vegeta is just completely worthless as a fighter. But as for Nappa ends up, okay, first dealing with Chaozu, which, okay. But then he ends up actually out fighting and killing Tien Shin Han. For the record, Tien Shin Han is someone who can look at a technique and learn it instantly. Learn how to use it and even deconstruct it and tear it apart with just a few seconds of observing it.
Faster than even Goku.
Yes, there's only one fighter faster than him at it. Piccolo. Tien Shin Han is also someone with the best eyesight. He's got the best hand-eye coordination after Piccolo. He honestly has his Tri-Beam, which is probably the most powerful key attack around. Tien Shin Han is also someone who can match, well, how do I put it? Because of the nature of the Tri-Beam, his power level can be counted as being 3 times higher than what it is. So, for example, he's stated as being somewhere around the 14 or 1500 mark, and then he manages to measure up to 4000. But we got to bear in mind, Nappa has a power level of 6000. If Tien Shin Han were packing the regular heat, let's say we calculate his power level at what? 12 to 1500. Okay. Then we have to do 3 times that number because of the way the Tri-Beam works. So it goes to 2400. Let's say it's 1200. So 24, 3600 thereabouts. But instead it's calculated as 4000. So it's a little higher than 3600. But either way, Tien Shin Han, the fact that he can power himself up 3 times higher than his average power level, or his max power level, is impressive. Tien Shin Han is a fighter who was one of the first ones to be able to actually curb stomp Goku. No mean feat. He's a brilliant fighter. Yes, he has a temper and a sense of honor that no one else has at the same... Like, how do I put it? He's the most chivalrous man alive. Honestly, at his core, he's a better person than Krillin, Yamcha, Chaozu, even Trunks. The only reason Tien Shin Han is not pure of heart is because of his dark past. And the only man who never forgave him for committing his crimes as an assassin was him. But Tien believes that redemption is an ongoing process. But he's a fighter whom, if anyone could kill someone who has a power level of 6,000 with only a power level of 1,200, it's Tien Shin Han. So he could probably have killed Nappa if Nappa was stupid. But Nappa kills him. This is not some throwaway accomplishment. This is actually an incredible achievement. And Tien Shin Han is another fighter, I think, who could have curb stomped Vegeta at that point. Quite easily. Especially considering his abilities with cutting techniques. Tien does have a few techniques which can cut through just about anything. This man was trained by the likes of Tao Pei Pei and the Crane Master. He has cut through armor and flesh as though it were nothing. So, yeah, this guy can basically imitate the effects of a Destructo Disc. And all he'd need to do is also see the Destructo Disc and he could pull it off. Probably better than Krillin. And with half the power necessary for it. So, we're looking at someone who, honestly, could have easily chopped up Vegeta like guacamole. But Nappa killed him. So the thing is, our Cyberman and Nappa chopped up two major fighters, technically three with Chaozu. And then, on top of that, Nappa succeeds in killing Piccolo. Honestly, probably the most clever and brilliant Z Senshi fighter alongside Goku. I'm not going to say after Goku, but alongside him. The only one who's ever been able to measure up and actually defeat Goku and be defeated by Goku and still compete at a relative toe-for-toe level is Piccolo. The two are often surpassing each other or being surpassed by the other. These two are honestly rivals. Like, there is no one who's more Goku's rival and equal than Piccolo. Just as there is no one who could ever equal Piccolo except Goku. And, alright, we've now analyzed the Z Senshi and where they stand. Now on to the useless, worthless, inbred schmuck. The thing with Vegeta is he enters the fight with Goku at about twice Goku's power level. He's at 19,000 on average. Able to power up pretty much to, I think, like 24,000. Goku is at 8 to 9,000. Oh, right, he's at 9,500. That's right. Effectively, less than half Vegeta's power level. Yet, Goku takes an early advantage in the fight and proceeds to utterly stomp Vegeta into the pavement through a mixture of clever strategy, getting Vegeta talking a lot because Vegeta never shuts up because he's a big mouth and an idiot, and Goku proceeds to also begin to physically dominate him because Vegeta just wastes energy and completely underestimates his fighter and doesn't go in with the mentality, I'm going to win. Goku has his back to the wall and is determined to win, no matter what.
Even the attack at the Earth, where Goku has to block with the Kamehameha and Kaioken.
The Kaioken he powers up to 4 times his regular power level. Vegeta loses that clash, but had no right losing it. And it was also the stupidest thing Vegeta's probably ever done up to that point, because if the planet is destroyed, Vegeta will die. So Goku effectively saved Vegeta there. It's the first time we really see Goku wiping Vegeta's ass, which Goku's going to make a career out of this.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Vegeta, after he's done being stupid, he decides to continue being stupid, but we'll get to that in a minute. Now, what the complete and total imbecile does next is turn into a giant monkey, which actually on the face of it, this might not be as impressive a stratagem, but actually it's pretty smart, considering, he doesn't really have any other choice. But on the other hand, what the hell is he doing needing to transform into a monkey to defeat someone who's half his power level? who can't even measure up physically and can barely even stand anymore. It's like, Vegeta, the dude is barely even standing. He's on his knees. And you need to go monkey when you still have a lot of energy left. Okay, so he goes giant monkey, stomps Goku at long last. So, good to know. Okay, so Vegeta has a power level of 19,000. Cool. This raises his power level by 10. So he's at 190,000. He needs to power up to 200,000 in order to compete with someone with a power level of 9,500. Thereabouts. You have effectively, 200 times his power level. And it's only at that point that you can compete with him.
And then you have Krillin and Gohan that
show up. Oh, yeah. They're, he has no right.
And
struggling with them.
Here it is. It's like Gohan gets knocked out. Krillin
misses his shot because Yajirobe. But then, this is where we actually have to say Vegeta loses the fight. To Yajirobe. He gets his tail chopped off by Yajirobe. Doesn't matter how you cut it. Doesn't matter how you slice it. He lost a limb to Yajirobe. Someone with a power level of, what was it? 160? How do you lose?
He was supposed to be part of the team, but he flaked out because
he didn't want to show up for Kami's training. He did show up for Kami's training. He just decided not to go and show up to fight the Saiyans because I'm not doing that.
Even when Yajirobe made a mistake.
Yajirobe chopped a limb off Vegeta. And, here's my question. What if it was his foot? What if it was his hand? What if, instead of the tail, he went after the neck? The thing is, Vegeta only lives because Yajirobe was merciful. How do you slice that and say Vegeta's the most badass character of all times?
And then you have Gohan pretty much on the ground, with Goku on the ground, Krillin pretty
much on the ground.
And then you have Yajirobe that puts a scar on Vegeta.
Yeah, but before that, we have to actually say this. Vegeta lost the first part of the fight to Yajirobe. The first part of this fight, he loses a limb to Yajirobe. I mean, here's the thing. Yajirobe, Goku, Tien, Piccolo, Krillin, Gohan, even Chaozu, never lost a fight to this guy! This guy, Chi-Chi's actually a better fighter than him. Roshi's a better fighter than him.
Yamcha, the only reason he got killed was, yes, he let his guard down. But the Cybermen
suicide bombed. And how many times do villains basically... villains do even dumber... the thing is, Vegeta screws up even worse with other villains, and yet people don't hold that over him like people hold the Cybermen over Yamcha. And honestly,
the Cyberman is more powerful than Yajirobe.
And yet, Vegeta lost to Yajirobe. Now, let's say Vegeta is not transformed. Let's say he's basically in the same situation. Yajirobe gets this jump on him. What if it was his neck? I'm sorry if I keep bringing that up, but I have never seen a anime or manga have someone make such a move like Vegeta, and yet there's a contingent of the fan base which praises him. Now, Vegeta's a loser, and honestly, he is you basically have a Connie Tendo over in Rama one half looking at him and going, "Bro, you suck at this."
It'd be like Seto Kaiba goofing up an obvious mistake and losing to Weevil Underwood.
Yeah. Heck, for all that people hold stuff over Taya and Tristan, they never mess up as bad as Vegeta. But the thing is, he is anime's dumbest character, probably ever. And Toriyama knew it. Oh my gosh. Okay, round 2, post-Monkey. Okay, So Vegeta's kind of got a fight against Gohan, Krillin, Goku's already beaten, and Yajirobe.
And Yajirobe manages to slip away when all the other three are pretty much on their backs.
Yeah.
Save maybe Krillin.
So Vegeta's entering this fight, and the thing is, all of his foes are already beaten. All of his foes are already beaten. And they're, no offense, Dan, but they're about surrendered. No, they're like, no, can't be done. We're beaten. The only one who's like, okay, I got to figure out a way to beat this guy, but nobody can actually fight him, like, at all, and he's, like, 10 times stronger than all of us. Okay, how do I do this? Goku, who has to strategize and figure out how to beat Vegeta without even having... Okay, every bone in his body is broken, and he's got two people who are almost in as dire state as him, and on top of that, Gohan's also very traumatized after a day of being in the war zone, and you have Yajirobe who just refuses to fight. So, basically, it's impossible to win. It is impossible to win, and Goku's got to figure it out. Okay, so round 2, post-monkey. Krillin goes up, is knocked down. Not Krillin's fault. Like, come on. Like, what is he doing at this fight? Like, he's way, way below the Vegeta's pay grade. Then Gohan gets chucked in to the round, and Vegeta then decides to abuse. Goku can't fight back until Gohan gets up and fights him. And on top of that, now, here's another thing. Vegeta's kind of gotten blasted in the eye when he was in monkey form by Goku, who decided to take one last shot at him. And Vegeta just completely underestimated him because he was an idiot. But now, the thing is, of course, he ends up falling into the number one... basically, okay, the demon school of Piccolo tends to basically try to make a weakness, like create one major injury, set one up on their enemy. Then, you know what they do? They keep poking at it. So, for example, Vegeta has a weakness in that, well, his eye was blasted. So, where does Gohan keep hitting him and elbowing him and punching him? In that eye. Which, I know the abridged fans, you know, the Vegeta wankers, like to think that's not a fair move. No. Totally fair. There's no such thing as fair in a fight in Dragon Ball Z. And the thing is, Vegeta fails to defend his eye repeatedly. Yeah. And Gohan keeps exploiting it. Gohan has no right fighting at his level, especially considering how Vegeta isn't even winded. Like, these guys have basically just been hitting him with a paper clipper, almost. And he's... like, and he's losing to a child. A child is holding his own against a 5-year-old. Now, meanwhile, Krillin gets the energy and chucks the spirit bomb at him. Misses, because Yajirobe. And Gohan rebounds it to Vegeta, and it grazes Vegeta. Well, it blasts him into the upper atmosphere, and then Vegeta slips off it. Then Vegeta decides, screw it, I'm going down and I'm going to wreck him. Finally knocks out Gohan, knocks out Krillin, and Yajirobe sticks a scar on his back by slashing him across his back. Now, he's once again has to offer up thanks for the fact that Yajirobe was not thinking and is not a very talented fighter. Because what if, instead of slashing, Yajirobe had stabbed? Well, suddenly, Vegeta doesn't have to worry about having a scar on his back because he's dead! Had Yajirobe chosen to stab, well, he'd have a sword sticking out of his heart. And, well, we wouldn't have to deal with Vegeta for the rest of the series. And, damn it, Toriyama! You had one job! Why didn't you just have Yajirobe do it right?
And then there's the worst part for Vegeta. All he did was essentially beat on Yajirobe and stomp on him.
But Yajirobe only walks away with a couple of bruises.
Exactly. Yajirobe had no right surviving that fight. Surviving right there.
And let's calculate the power levels. 160, I think, thereabouts. So, like, he's closer to, like, 100 or something. I might be wrong, but 1,000. Okay, so if we add... All right, times 10 would be 1,000. Times 100 would be 10,000. So it might be about almost 20,000 times stronger than Yajirobe. And he still cannot kill Yajirobe.
Even discounting the fact that Vegeta might be exhausted from all the fighting, he still has enough...
He has super strength.
He still has enough energy to use some blasts, some energy attacks.
And
Yajirobe is essentially...
a normal civilian.
Exactly.
He's just a fat guy with a sword.
A really good sword.
Yeah. And then Gohan, his tail's been growing back, so Vegeta then notices that. And Goku kind of goes, all right. But Vegeta stuck a fake moon up there.
And did not dismiss it.
Yeah, Vegeta did not dismiss that orb.
When Gohan grew his tail, he should have
Just gone, okay, there, snap his fingers.
We know characters in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z can dismiss the spirit techniques they set up.
And Vegeta forgot he could. Because this guy's not operating, like, okay. This guy, inside his brain, you don't have brain cells. You've got Pong going on. Dude. 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 So, he doesn't dismiss it when he could just... Okay, it's gone. Gohan looks at the fake moon, goes monkey, and Goku basically just tells him, sick him. And, of course, Vegeta. Oh, but before he goes fully, now that I think about it, Vegeta had the chance to chop the tail off. At first he goes for just punching the kid. What are you thinking? Then he goes, oh, right, I could just pull the tail off. Then he gets punched in the head by the monkey, which admittedly is the funniest scene. Then he ends up really struggling with the monkey and ends up buried beneath the giant monkey for a minute when he could have just, oh, shoot. He freezes in midair out of fear. It's like, dude, just let gravity take hold of you. Just, like, drop and go beneath him. What are you doing?
But when he goes beneath him is when he slices off the...
Well, no, it's right before that, and when the monkey's jumping at him.
Yeah.
But, like, even before Gohan transformed, he had enough energy to do a massive explosion. And yet, that explosion only lightly wounded the likes of Krillin, Yajirobe, and Goku. And, of course, Krillin gets back on his feet right after Gohan basically helps smush Vegeta to an extent. And Krillin goes, picks up the sword, and says, so, shish kebab? And Vegeta ends up begging for mercy, crying. Yes, crying. And going, please don't hurt me. To someone 10 times weaker than him.
The only person Vegeta killed that day was Nappa. and Nappa took down
half the Z Senshi.
Essentially, some of the strongest fighters.
And here's the thing I don't think Vegeta fans want to admit. Here's the funny part. If Nappa had not stepped up to fight them, you want to know what's funny? Let's say it was Vegeta who said, all right, I'll take him. Vegeta would have died. No, like, do you honestly think... No, Dan, do you think for a single minute Tien Shin Han, Yamcha, or Piccolo would have shown him the same mercy Goku, Krillin, Gohan, and Yajirobe did? And make no mistake, Yajirobe did show mercy. Do you honestly think those three would show Vegeta mercy when he comes after them in Gohan?
No.
Would Piccolo... Like, okay, Vegeta, let's actually try to set up the scenario. Vegeta steps up, I'm the Prince of All Saiyans, like that even matters, and ends up Now, bear in mind, he's not going to succeed in killing Chaozu. He's going to probably throw some blasts around. He's going to get mad. He's going to miss because he doesn't have very good aim. And, of course, they're going to just whittle at him. Then he's probably going to get so peeved off, he's going to go giant monkey. But here's the problem. He's going to lose the tail. There's no way he can keep the tail when Piccolo's around. Piccolo's too good a shot, and Piccolo's too smart. So he loses the tail. He goes, like final burst or whatever. Destroys an entire area. But here's the problem with Vegeta. What will that even accomplish? It's just for show. Like, it's not even a real attack. And then what's he going to end up doing? Well, now he's basically got the Z Senshi probably a little banged up and whatnot. But no matter what, given how often he takes his eye off the ball, he's probably going to get distracted by someone like Tien Shin Han or Yamcha, or Tien's just going to go Tri-Beam on him, keeping Vegeta stuck in place, because Vegeta's going to forget that he could tank these hits, because he's being hit with a Power Blast of 4,000 power rating level, and he's 19,000. He's going to forget for a minute that he's 19,000. And Piccolo's just going to charge up the Special Beam Cannon and just fire and kill Vegeta, probably shooting him through either the heart or the head. We'll say the head. But here's the thing. Now, where it would go wrong for the Z Senshi is that Nappa would fly into a rage, and Nappa would actually level the gang. Nappa would probably kill the vast majority of them because, well, Vegeta is his surrogate son. He loves Vegeta. And the worst part is that Vegeta is unable to kill people who don't even measure up to him. Like, in terms of power level, let's be honest. Goku may as well be a child compared to him. And yet, he lost.
It's like, you take a look at when they're in the hospital in the following episode. Yajirobe only has bruises and band-aids. It's very superficial injuries. Krillin
has a broken arm and I think a broken leg.
Yeah.
Gohan's in similar condition. And Goku has every bone in his body broken.
Yeah, so 3 of them can still essentially walk.
And as for Vegeta, he proceeds to fly off. Now, there are bases nearby, but he decides to go for one that's further away, probably, because there must be bases everywhere in Frieza's empire. And he goes for one that, let's bear in mind, Gohan and Krillin are traveling to Namek, and it takes them a month. Vegeta was probably in that rocket of his, that Saiyan ship, for like a week or two. What is he doing that's going to aggravate your injuries? So he's not terribly smart on that front either. Now, let's get to another thing. Oh, well, Vegeta was made into being a villain by Frieza. Yes and no. The Saiyans were evil. Let's not sugarcoat it. They were evil. Vegeta was evil. Yes, Frieza raised him that way, but Frieza never abused him. Frieza liked him. But on the other hand, Frieza did demean him, insult him, and otherwise act like a really, really mean stepdaddy. On the other hand, it was also Vegeta who abused the likes of Raditz. And the thing about Vegeta is that when we first see him, he's eating members of a sentient race he wiped out. Him and Nappa both are doing that. That's evil. That's cannibalism. No matter how you put it, it's cannibalism. So Vegeta is a cannibal, and he's someone who goes around trying to wipe people out off the face of the universe and doesn't even care. And what's his reaction to... At least Nappa has some loyalty and asks, so are we going to use the Dragon Balls to revive Raditz? Because, I mean, he is one of us. And it's interesting that Nappa's first thought is... So,
Raditz.
Yeah. And Vegeta, why would we do that? Like, it doesn't even occur to him. And yeah. Now, on the journey to Namek, right before he sets off, some rando in him, the purple skinned rando guy, I forget his name. It's not important. The two of them basically have a stick measuring contest, but turns out the joke's on them. Actually, Goku's is bigger than both of them put together. And hey, come on, I mean, Goku's nailing a babe like Chi-Chi weekly, like probably bi-weekly. And let's be honest, Bulma's not much of a prize. I know she's supposed to be hot, but everybody's had a turn with her. And yeah. Speaking of which, she also spends the entire month on the journey to Namek drunk as a skunk. So yeah, actually, Yamcha could do way better than Bulma. I like Bulma, but she's nasty. She's a nasty piece of work. She's basically a celebrity slut. Let's be honest. And let's get a little into Namek. Vegeta arrives, struggles with Dodoria and Zarbon. Whatever. They're throwaway characters. And he does beat them, although he loses the first fight against Zarbon.
And Zarbon's essentially more of a bureaucrat.
Yeah. And then Vegeta ends up throwing Gohan and Krillin at Goldo. It doesn't go well for them. Goldo's stupid and takes his eyes off Vegeta, and Vegeta does kill him. Kudos to him for that. And then what happens? Well, the thing is, Raccoon comes in, and Raccoon just snaps Vegeta's wrist, and Vegeta surrenders. I'm serious, that's what happens. He snaps Vegeta's wrist. Meanwhile, Gohan gets, essentially his lung collapsing in on itself after a good hit from Raccoon, and Gohan's laid into the ground and is dying as blood seeps into his lungs.
Krillin, in the meantime, is essentially crippled.
Yep. So, Krillin is permanently crippled, unless he gets a sensu bean. Gohan is dying, and Vegeta is surrendered because his wrist snapped. Oh, I'm sorry, Princess. I didn't know we were playing in the junior division. Like, what the hell? And Goku, of course, shows up, has to wipe Vegeta's ass again. And, brings sensu beans, even has to give one to Vegeta. Come on, this is a waste of a sensu bean. The guy just has a snapped wrist. He's fine. Just tell him to walk it off. Like, frick, I've snapped my wrist, and I've walked it off. Hurt, like...
hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, it does hurt. But come on! You're a trained fighter!
I'm sure he's gotten worse injuries than that.
Well, apparently not.
Oh, so,
He's never felt pain until Goku introduced him to it.
So he got the cushy jobs.
Yes, he did. He's not like Raditz and Nappa who had to earn their keep. And that's another thing to bear in mind. Nappa was born a second class and earned his way to the first class. Kudos to Nappa. At least as far as I know. Vegeta was born first class and always got the cushy jobs. But he's ultimately incompetent, stupid, and honestly, even if he's really strong, come on, a snapped wrist? For someone of his power level, like, Superman snaps his wrists twice a week and is basically still fighting. Like, Goku, let's not even get into Dragon Ball. Goku's had way worse injuries. Piccolo actually blew a few holes through him in their fight together. And Goku was still fighting. Even when Goku basically had a hole in his side, Goku was still fighting.
It's like
Goku actually had both his arms broken, every bone in them.
It's like King Piccolo disabled all of Goku's limbs.
Except for one hand.
Exactly.
And yet, Goku still fought. And Goku was 12.
And he killed King Piccolo.
But, Raccoon snaps Vegeta's wrist. Poor Vegeta. Sweet, innocent, little Princess Vegeta can't be asked to keep fighting. So, Goku takes care of Raccoon, kills him, gets rid of the rest of the Ginyu Force. And, Ginyu takes over Goku's body. Vegeta, come on, Krillin was able to basically hold his own against Captain Ginyu and Goku's body. It's a no issue. Like, it's a non-issue. Like, what the hell? And Goku wipes Vegeta's rear by trying to warn him about the body switch and then tossing a toad into the mix. And Vegeta was actually all but charging toward... Yeah, let's not even get into that. So next time we're going to deal with Vegeta and Frieza. Oh boy. Oh boy. And maybe we'll get into the Android arc. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Yeah, oh boy. Now, hope you all enjoyed this video. And if you didn't, do feel free to smash that like and that subscribe button. And also check out our Substack, because we're pretty good fantasy writers. And, you know, you'll probably like most of the stuff we produce there. Now, on the other hand, if you felt insulted by this video or are salty, do check it out and do become a paid subscriber over there, because, well, you know, it would help a great deal. Especially since, you know, we could use the support. So until next time, toodles.